Hello family, welcome to Stories with Madezi. Please subscribe and leave a like for us, it means the world to us. Also share this video to your friends and loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. Isaac, a self-made entrepreneur, appeared to have it all: a thriving business, financial success, and a beautiful wife, Anna. Yet behind the facade of a perfect life, he carried a simmering dissatisfaction he rarely voiced. Anna, who had stood by him during his most difficult years, represented simplicity and humility. She was a woman of quiet strength, someone who preferred understated elegance to the glitz and glamour Isaac now sought. Over time, Isaac grew embarrassed by her modest demeanor, convinced that she lacked the sophistication necessary to complement his new status. This insecurity festered, leading him to seek validation elsewhere. That validation came in the form of Charlotte, a confident, glamorous woman who thrived on attention and played her role as Isaac's mistress with calculated charm. Isaac began taking Charlotte to events and meetings, introducing her as his wife. Her charisma dazzled clients and colleagues alike, reinforcing Isaac's belief that she was the ideal partner for his public image. He rationalized his actions by convincing himself that Anna would never find out. In his mind, she was too naive and focused on the home to notice the changes in him. His deceit, however, was not as seamless as he imagined. Anna, though quiet and unassuming, was far from oblivious. She noticed the subtle shifts in Isaac's behavior, the late nights, the unexplained expenses, and the fleeting glances of guilt in his eyes. She chose not to confront him immediately, opting instead to observe and piece together the truth. Her love for Isaac had not diminished, but the growing distance between them left her heart heavy with sadness. While Isaac reveled in his double life, Anna quietly prepared herself for what she sensed was an inevitable confrontation, her strength lying in her patience and resolve. Anna's days were marked by an unsettling quiet, her home now echoing with the absence of the warmth Isaac once brought. She noticed his increasing detachment, how he avoided eye contact and offered half-hearted explanations for his absences. While Isaac immersed himself in his world of business and socializing with Charlotte, Anna remained grounded in her routine. She managed the household with grace, her actions masking the growing turmoil within her. She found solace in small, consistent rituals, like tending to her garden or preparing Isaac's favorite meals, though he often came home too late to enjoy them. It was during one of these solitary moments that Anna confided in David, her closest friend and a sharp-minded lawyer. David had known Anna since her university days and admired her unwavering loyalty to Isaac, even as cracks began to show in their marriage. As she shared her suspicions about Isaac's behavior, David's concern deepened. "You're too smart to let him take you for granted," he said, his tone firm yet compassionate. He encouraged Anna to gather evidence and protect herself, advising her to prepare for the possibility of betrayal. Anna listened but held back from taking any immediate action, hoping against hope that she was mistaken. Despite her inner turmoil, Anna maintained a calm exterior. She paid closer attention to Isaac's patterns, noting the extravagant purchases and the distinct perfume that lingered on his suits. She began to piece together the truth, her heart breaking with each revelation. Yet, rather than succumb to despair, Anna channeled her emotions into quiet determination. She resolved to face whatever lay ahead with dignity and strength, her mind already forming a plan to reclaim her place in Isaac's life, or walk away with her head held high. Charlotte basked in the glow of her position by Isaac's side, her presence a stark contrast to Anna's understated elegance. She relished the attention she received at events, where she was often mistaken for Isaac's wife. Her beauty and charm were her weapons, and she wielded them skillfully, ensuring that Isaac remained captivated. In Charlotte's eyes, Anna was irrelevant, a relic of Isaac's past, undeserving of the life she now enjoyed. She saw herself as the perfect partner for Isaac, someone who could elevate his image and complement his ambition. Isaac, enamored by Charlotte's allure, began to rely on her for validation. Her compliments fed his ego, and her confidence made him feel powerful. Together, they formed a picture-perfect duo, or so Isaac believed. What he failed to recognize was Charlotte's underlying motives. She was not in love with Isaac but with the lifestyle he provided. Her interest in him was transactional, rooted in the benefits she reaped from their arrangement. While Isaac saw her as a partner who understood his world, Charlotte viewed him as a stepping stone to greater opportunities. Unbeknownst to both of them, Anna was acutely aware of Charlotte's role in Isaac's life. She had seen photos of the two at events, their chemistry undeniable. Yet, instead of confronting Isaac or spiraling into anger, Anna chose to focus on understanding Charlotte's influence. She saw through the facade and recognized Charlotte for what she was, a fleeting distraction, incapable of offering Isaac the depth of support and love he truly needed. Anna's decision to remain silent was not born of weakness but of strategy. She knew that her moment to act would come, and when it did, it would leave Isaac and Charlotte questioning everything. Isaac's confidence surged as he prepared for a critical business meeting with potential investors. He was determined to make a grand impression and saw this as a pivotal moment for his company's growth. However, his decision to bring Charlotte as his wife was more about feeding his ego than practicality. He convinced himself that her charisma and beauty would win over the investors, masking the cracks in his integrity and the truth of his double life. As he rehearsed his pitch, Isaac felt a rush of excitement, blinded by the belief that he was in control of both his professional and personal spheres. To him, Anna was a footnote, someone too insignificant to disrupt his carefully curated narrative. Charlotte, equally eager to bask in the spotlight, threw herself into preparations for the meeting. She chose an elegant yet bold outfit designed to draw attention, confident that her presence alone would secure the investors' favor. As Isaac praised her charm and intellect, Charlotte reveled in the validation, feeling untouchable in her newfound status. They rehearsed their roles, perfecting the image of a power couple ready to conquer the business world. Yet beneath the surface, their alliance was fragile, built on mutual manipulation rather than genuine connection. Both were oblivious to the storm quietly brewing in Anna's world. Meanwhile, Anna, aware of Isaac's plans through subtle observations, began to strategize. She pieced together his itinerary, uncovering the details of the meeting in Charlotte's role. Though her heart ached at the thought of her husband publicly erasing her, Anna refused to let emotions cloud her judgment. With David's help, she reviewed legal documents and company records, ensuring she understood her rights and options. She knew Isaac underestimated her and was determined to turn his arrogance into her advantage. Her resolve hardened as she prepared to confront the betrayal, not with rage, but with a quiet strength that would leave Isaac reeling. Anna spent sleepless nights reflecting on the years she had dedicated to Isaac and their shared dream. She had been his unwavering support system during the early days of his career, sacrificing her ambitions to ensure his success. Yet now, as she observed his betrayal unfold, she realized the depth of his ingratitude. Her sadness transformed into a steely resolve, fueled by a determination to reclaim her dignity and independence. She wasn't seeking revenge, her intentions were rooted in self-respect and the need to protect her interests. Anna knew she had to act decisively, not just for herself, but to preserve the integrity of the business she had quietly nurtured alongside Isaac. David became her confidant and ally during this period. Together, they devised a plan to expose Isaac's deceit while safeguarding Anna's position in the company. David's sharp legal mind and unwavering loyalty bolstered Anna's confidence, reminding her of the strength she had often overlooked in herself. They gathered evidence meticulously, reviewing financial records, emails, and company documents that highlighted Anna's contributions. Each discovery added to Anna's arsenal, solidifying her case and ensuring she was prepared for any confrontation. David's support was invaluable, providing both professional guidance and emotional reassurance during her most vulnerable moments. As the day of the meeting approached, Anna prepared herself mentally and emotionally. She rehearsed her approach, ensuring she would remain composed and articulate when the time came to face Isaac and Charlotte. Her resolve was not born of bitterness but of a deep-seated need to reclaim her agency. She was done being the silent, overlooked partner in her marriage and the company. Anna's quiet strength became her greatest weapon, a stark contrast to Isaac's arrogance and Charlotte's superficial charm. She knew the path ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face it head-on. The boardroom buzzed with anticipation as Isaac and Charlotte entered, exuding confidence. Isaac's tailored suit and Charlotte's striking ensemble made them the center of attention, their dynamic a calculated performance designed to impress. The investors, seated around the polished conference table, greeted them with polite smiles, their expressions a blend of curiosity and reservation. Isaac began his presentation with fervor, detailing his vision for the company's future. He emphasized innovation, growth, and leadership, his words polished and persuasive. Charlotte played her part seamlessly, chiming in with strategic comments that highlighted her supposed expertise. To the casual observer, they appeared to be a formidable team. Yet, beneath the surface, subtle cracks began to show. The investors' questions grew sharper, their focus shifting from Isaac's projections to the company's internal dynamics. Helen, a seasoned investor with a reputation for cutting through pretenses, directed her inquiries toward leadership and decision-making processes. Isaac's responses, though confident, carried an edge of defensiveness. He hadn't anticipated the level of scrutiny and struggled to maintain his composure under Helen's piercing gaze. Charlotte, sensing the shift in tone, attempted to divert attention with charm, but her efforts fell flat. The investor's interest in substance over style left her flustered, exposing her lack of genuine insight into the business. Unbeknownst to Isaac and Charlotte, Anna was present in the room, seated discreetly among the observers. She had gained access through her network and remained silent, her presence unnoticed. From her vantage point, she watched Isaac's performance with a mix of sadness and resolve. This was the man she had once admired, now reduced to a facade driven by insecurity and deceit. As the meeting progressed, Anna's plan crystallized in her mind. She would not interrupt or create a scene, instead, she would wait for the perfect moment to unveil the truth, ensuring her actions were as impactful as they were irreversible. Anna's quiet entrance into the business meeting went unnoticed by Isaac and Charlotte, who were too absorbed in their performance. Dressed in a modest yet professional outfit, Anna blended seamlessly into the group of observers. Her calm demeanor masked the storm of emotions brewing within her. Sitting in the back row, she carefully observed every move Isaac made, analyzing his tone, body language, and interaction with the investors. Charlotte's attempts at charm and sophistication were painfully obvious to Anna, who saw through the superficial facade. Though anger simmered beneath her composed exterior, Anna reminded herself that this was not the time for emotions. She was there to gather information, to assess the situation fully before making her move. As the meeting unfolded, Anna noticed how the investors responded to Isaac. While they nodded at his presentation, their questions carried an undertone of skepticism. Helen, the lead investor, was particularly incisive, asking pointed questions about the company's leadership structure and decision-making process. Anna's heart raced as Isaac struggled to answer, his confidence faltering under Helen's scrutiny. It was clear he hadn't prepared for this level of interrogation. Charlotte, visibly uncomfortable, attempted to salvage the situation with vague comments, but her lack of expertise only highlighted the cracks in their partnership. Anna couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction. This was the beginning of Isaac's unraveling. Anna's resolve deepened as she watched Isaac fumble through his responses. She realized that the man standing at the head of the table was no longer the ambitious and hard-working partner she had once supported. This Isaac was driven by ego and insecurity, blinded by his own self-importance. Yet, Anna knew that exposing his betrayal in front of the investors required precision and timing. She needed to ensure that when she finally revealed the truth, there would be no room for Isaac to manipulate the narrative. As the meeting came to a close, Anna quietly slipped out, her mind racing with plans for the next step. She was ready to take back control of her life and her contributions to the company. The following day, Isaac met with the investors for a follow-up discussion, unaware that the seeds of doubt had already been planted. Helen, known for her meticulous approach to business deals, led the questioning with a calm yet authoritative presence. Her questions delved deeper into the company's operations, specifically focusing on the origins of its key strategies and successes. Isaac, still basking in the false confidence of his presentation, attempted to take credit for every milestone the company had achieved. However, his answers lacked depth, and Helen's piercing gaze seemed to see through his facade. Charlotte, seated beside Isaac, grew increasingly uncomfortable as the questioning intensified. She wasn't used to this level of scrutiny and struggled to maintain her composed exterior. When Helen directed a question to her about her role in the company, Charlotte hesitated before delivering a rehearsed answer that lacked conviction. The investors exchanged subtle glances, their doubt palpable. Isaac tried to steer the conversation back to his own strengths, but the investors weren't easily swayed. Helen, in particular, seemed determined to uncover the truth. She probed further, asking about the person behind the company's early breakthroughs and questioning why they weren't present in the meeting. Isaac's discomfort was evident as he stumbled over his words, offering vague explanations. He deflected Helen's questions, attempting to paint himself as the sole visionary behind the company's success. What Isaac didn't realize was that Helen already had pieces of the puzzle, thanks to Anna's quiet efforts. Through her connections, Anna had provided Helen with key insights into the company's history and her own contributions. Helen's probing wasn't random, it was calculated, designed to expose inconsistencies in Isaac's narrative. As the meeting concluded, Helen's parting words lingered in Isaac's mind: leadership isn't just about vision. It's about integrity. The weight of her statement left Isaac uneasy, but he dismissed it, confident that his charm and Charlotte's presence were enough to maintain control. While Isaac scrambled to maintain his image with the investors, David worked tirelessly behind the scenes to uncover the extent of his betrayal. He pored over company records, financial statements, and contracts, piecing together a timeline of events that painted a clear picture of Isaac's mismanagement and deceit. What David found was damning. Not only had Isaac misrepresented his role in the company's success, but he had also siphoned funds to support his lavish lifestyle and Charlotte's indulgences. These transactions, though cleverly disguised, were traceable and provided concrete evidence of Isaac's misconduct. Armed with this information, David approached Anna, knowing the impact it would have on her. When David presented his findings, Anna listened in silence, her emotions carefully guarded. Each revelation was like a knife to the heart, a painful reminder of the man Isaac had become. Yet, instead of breaking down, Anna channeled her pain into determination. She realized that this evidence was the leverage she needed to not only protect her interests but to expose Isaac's true nature. With David's help, she began drafting a plan to present this information to the investors. Her goal wasn't just to reclaim her position but to ensure that the company she had worked so hard to build would no longer be tainted by Isaac's selfishness. David admired Anna's resilience as she meticulously reviewed every detail of his findings. She asked thoughtful questions, ensuring she fully understood the implications of each piece of evidence. Despite the gravity of the situation, Anna remained composed, her focus unwavering. She knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face it with the same quiet strength that had carried her through years of being overlooked and undervalued. As she and David finalized their plan, Anna felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about exposing Isaac, it was about reclaiming her voice and the dignity she had long been denied. The day of the pivotal investor meeting arrived, and Isaac walked into the boardroom brimming with unwarranted confidence. Dressed sharply and flanked by Charlotte, he envisioned the meeting as another opportunity to cement his control over the company. The room was filled with key stakeholders, their faces composed but watchful. As the meeting commenced, Isaac took center stage, delivering a speech laden with self-congratulatory rhetoric. He spoke at length about his visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to the company's growth, oblivious to the subtle skepticism etched on the investors' faces. Charlotte sat poised beside him, playing her role with exaggerated charm, but the air in the room hinted at a tension Isaac couldn't quite place. Midway through the meeting, a quiet commotion at the door turned heads. Anna entered, her presence commanding attention. Clad in a sophisticated yet understated suit, she exuded confidence and composure. The room fell silent as she walked to the front, her calm demeanor contrasting sharply with Isaac's growing unease. "Forgive the interruption," Anna began, her voice steady yet firm. "But I believe the investors deserve a complete picture of this company's journey." Isaac's face turned pale, and Charlotte froze, her carefully crafted facade crumbling. Anna's measured tone carried an authority that silenced the room, and as she took her place at the head of the table, the investors leaned in, sensing the gravity of what was about to unfold. Anna began by recounting the origins of the company, highlighting pivotal moments and decisions that had shaped its success. With each point, she subtly but decisively credited herself for the strategies and initiatives that had driven growth. Her narrative was supported by evidence, documents, emails, and financial records, presented with precision. The investors listened intently, their interest piqued by the stark contrast between Anna's calm professionalism and Isaac's defensive posture. As Anna spoke, Isaac attempted to interject, but her composed responses left him floundering. By the time she concluded, the room was abuzz with whispers. Anna had effectively dismantled Isaac's illusion of control, setting the stage for the full exposure of his betrayal. Anna's presentation laid bare not just her contributions but also Isaac's mismanagement and deceit. She revealed the financial discrepancies David had uncovered, detailing how Isaac had diverted company funds to support his lavish lifestyle and Charlotte's expenses. The investors' reactions ranged from shock to anger as they absorbed the depth of Isaac's betrayal. Anna, however, remained poised, addressing their concerns with clarity and professionalism. "This company deserves leadership rooted in integrity," she stated, her voice unwavering. "What you see before you is not the vision we set out to achieve. But it's not too late to correct our course." Her words resonated deeply, leaving no doubt about her capabilities and commitment. As Anna continued, Charlotte's discomfort grew palpable. No longer able to maintain her composure, she attempted to defend herself, claiming ignorance of Isaac's actions. But her feeble arguments only further incriminated her. Anna responded with a quiet dignity, refusing to engage in Charlotte's theatrics. Instead, she focused on the future, presenting a detailed plan to stabilize the company and rebuild trust with stakeholders. Her proposal was met with nods of approval, the investors visibly impressed by her foresight and strategic acumen. Isaac, on the other hand, sat in stunned silence, his attempts to regain control thwarted at every turn. For the first time, he realized the full extent of Anna's strength and intelligence, qualities he had underestimated for years. By the end of the meeting, it was clear where the investors' loyalties lay. Helen, who had been skeptical of Isaac's leadership from the start, voiced her support for Anna's plan, setting the tone for the others to follow. "This is the leadership we need," Helen stated firmly. The room echoed with agreement, leaving Isaac with no room for rebuttal. As the meeting adjourned, the investors approached Anna, expressing their admiration and confidence in her abilities. Isaac watched helplessly as his carefully constructed facade crumbled before his eyes. Anna had not only reclaimed her place but had also exposed the hollow foundation upon which Isaac had built his supposed success. As the meeting concluded, Isaac hurried after Anna, desperation etched across his face. "What do you think you're doing?" he hissed, his voice low but trembling with anger. Anna turned to face him, her expression calm but unyielding. "I'm doing what I should have done a long time ago," she replied. Her words carried a quiet finality that left Isaac momentarily speechless. Still, he refused to accept defeat, clinging to the remnants of his ego. "You've made your point," he said, attempting to regain control of the narrative. "But this company wouldn't exist without me. They'll see that eventually." Anna's gaze hardened, her composure unshaken. "You're right," she said. "The company wouldn't exist without us. But only one of us remained true to its vision. Isaac's denial deepened as he tried to discredit Anna's claims, accusing her of exaggerating her role and undermining his authority. But Anna was prepared for his tactics. She calmly presented additional evidence, each piece further solidifying her position. "This isn't about undermining you, Isaac," she said, her voice steady. "This is about the truth you've been running from for years." Her words struck a nerve, and Isaac's anger gave way to frustration. He realized that his usual charm and manipulation held no sway over Anna. She had evolved beyond the woman he once controlled, and her newfound strength left him feeling powerless. As Isaac retreated into silence, Anna delivered her parting words. "You once told me that success requires sacrifices," she said, her tone tinged with quiet resolve. "I made sacrifices, for you, for this company, for our future. But you sacrificed us for your ego. That's a price I won't pay anymore." With that, Anna walked away, leaving Isaac to grapple with the weight of his actions. For the first time, he was forced to confront the reality he had tried so desperately to avoid, a reality where Anna no longer needed him, and where he was left to face the consequences of his betrayal alone. Charlotte felt the weight of the world closing in as she sat in the back of Isaac's car after the disastrous meeting. Her usual confident demeanor was gone, replaced by a deep-seated panic. She had spent years crafting her image as Isaac's perfect partner, charming, sophisticated, and supportive. Yet, in a single meeting, Anna had dismantled everything she believed was secure. The investor's clear preference for Anna had left Charlotte feeling vulnerable and exposed, and Isaac's silence on the ride home was even more unnerving. For the first time, Charlotte realized the precariousness of her position. Isaac had built his empire on deception, and now that the truth was out, she stood to lose everything. Desperation began to cloud Charlotte's judgment. She considered how she might salvage her relationship with Isaac, believing that her charm could still sway him. "Isaac," she began, her voice soft but strained, "you know I've always been by your side. Whatever happens, we can face it together." But Isaac's curt response, "Not now, Charlotte," made it clear he was in no mood for her usual theatrics. Her heart sank as she realized Isaac was too consumed by his own downfall to offer her any reassurance. Without his support, Charlotte knew she would be left to fend for herself, a prospect that terrified her. She had always relied on her ability to manipulate situations to her advantage, but now, her usual tactics seemed futile. As the days passed, Charlotte found herself increasingly isolated. Isaac avoided her calls and texts, clearly focused on salvaging what remained of his reputation. The investor's decision to back Anna had sent shockwaves through the company, and Charlotte's name was now synonymous with scandal. Gossip spread quickly, and Charlotte became the subject of ridicule among Isaac's social circle. Alone in her apartment, she began to reflect on the choices that had led her here. For the first time, she saw herself not as the glamorous woman who had captured Isaac's heart, but as a pawn in his game, a pawn that had now outlived its usefulness. The realization was sobering, but it also sparked a faint glimmer of determination. Charlotte resolved to find a way out of the mess she had helped create, even if it meant facing the consequences head-on. Anna stood in her office, overlooking the city skyline, her mind racing with a mix of emotions. The events of the past week had been nothing short of transformative. For years, she had felt invisible in Isaac's shadow, her contributions to the company and their marriage dismissed as insignificant. But now, she had reclaimed her voice, and the validation from the investors had solidified her position as a formidable leader. Still, the path ahead was daunting. While she had exposed Isaac's betrayal, she knew that maintaining the trust of the investors and steering the company toward stability would require immense effort. Anna was ready for the challenge, but the weight of her newfound responsibilities was undeniable. Despite her outward composure, Anna grappled with moments of doubt. Could she truly rebuild the company after the damage Isaac had done? Could she lead with integrity while navigating the cutthroat world of business? Her thoughts turned to David, who had been her unwavering ally throughout the ordeal. His faith in her abilities had been a constant source of strength, and his encouragement reminded her of the resilience she had cultivated over the years. Anna resolved to channel her doubts into action, knowing that her success would be the ultimate vindication, not just for herself, but for everyone who had doubted her. She began drafting a strategic plan, outlining her vision for the company's future, determined to prove that her leadership could inspire real change. The next board meeting was a turning point for Anna. She presented her plan with confidence and clarity, addressing the concerns of the investors and employees alike. Her emphasis on transparency and ethical practices struck a chord with the room, and by the time she finished, the applause was overwhelming. Helen, the influential investor who had questioned Isaac's leadership, approached Anna afterward. "You've got what it takes," Helen said, her words filled with conviction. "Don't let anyone make you think otherwise." Anna felt a surge of pride and gratitude. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as Isaac's wife, but as a leader in her own right. As she left the meeting, she couldn't help but smile, knowing that she was on the path to reclaiming everything she had lost, and more. Isaac sat alone in his dimly lit office, staring blankly at his desk. The once bustling space that symbolized his power and success now felt suffocatingly empty. The fallout from the investors' meeting had been swift and merciless. His colleagues avoided him, the media had turned his name into a headline of scandal, and even his closest allies had begun to distance themselves. For the first time in his life, Isaac felt the sting of true isolation. The humiliation of watching Anna command the room, winning the respect and trust of the investors, replayed in his mind like a broken record. He had underestimated her, and the cost of his arrogance was now painfully clear. Isaac's thoughts turned to Charlotte, whose presence had once been a source of comfort and validation. But in the wake of his downfall, her loyalty had evaporated. She had left without so much as a goodbye, likely seeking refuge in another opportunity. Isaac felt a pang of bitterness as he realized how little their relationship had truly meant. Charlotte had been a reflection of his ego, a superficial distraction from the cracks in his marriage and his own insecurities. Now, with her gone, Isaac was forced to confront the emptiness of the life he had built. The realization was devastating, but it also forced him to acknowledge a truth he had long avoided: his success had been a house of cards, and Anna had been the foundation all along. As the days turned into weeks, Isaac's humiliation deepened. Reports of Anna's leadership spread rapidly, with employees praising her for creating a more inclusive and ethical work environment. The company's performance began to stabilize under her guidance, and the investors' faith in her grew stronger with each passing day. Isaac, meanwhile, was relegated to the sidelines, his influence reduced to nothing more than a cautionary tale. The respect he had once commanded was now replaced by pity and derision. For the first time in his life, Isaac understood the depth of his failures, not just as a businessman, but as a husband and a partner. The weight of his regrets was crushing, but he knew that redemption, if it were even possible, would require him to confront the man he had become and make amends for the damage he had caused. Isaac's world seemed to shrink further as he faced the reality of his disgrace. The fallout from Anna's revelation was brutal and unrelenting. The once respected CEO, who had basked in the admiration of his peers, now found himself the subject of ridicule and whispers in corporate circles. News of the investors siding with Anna spread like wildfire, tarnishing his reputation. Former colleagues, who had once eagerly sought his approval, now avoided him entirely. Isaac couldn't escape the pervasive feeling of isolation. The office he had built into a symbol of his dominance became a cold, empty space. Every corner seemed to echo the magnitude of his failure. Sitting behind his once empowering desk, Isaac felt like a ghost of his former self. Adding to his despair was the absence of Charlotte, whose departure had been as abrupt as the unraveling of his life. Her final text, a cold and detached farewell, left Isaac reeling. The realization that she had been with him not for love, but for the benefits his success afforded, hit hard. In his desperation to impress her and maintain his illusion of superiority, he had destroyed the very foundation of his life. With Charlotte gone, Isaac was forced to confront the hollowness of their relationship. She had fed his ego, validated his insecurities, and made him feel powerful, yet, at the first sign of trouble, she vanished. Isaac now saw her for what she was, a mirror reflecting his own shallow choices and arrogance. Meanwhile, Anna's success was undeniable, and Isaac could no longer ignore the reports praising her leadership. Employees lauded her efforts to create a collaborative, ethical work environment. Investors expressed renewed confidence in the company under her guidance. Each accolade for Anna felt like a dagger to Isaac's heart, a painful reminder of everything he had lost. The respect he had once taken for granted was now firmly directed at Anna. His humiliation was compounded by the fact that her achievements came not from vengeance, but from her intrinsic strength and integrity. For the first time, Isaac began to understand the gravity of his actions and the depth of his betrayal, not just to Anna, but to himself. Yet, amid his humiliation, a seed of introspection began to take root. Charlotte's departure was the final nail in the coffin for Isaac. After the investors' meeting, Charlotte packed her things and left without a word. She had been his constant companion, the embodiment of the image he wanted to project to the world, charming, polished, and seemingly perfect. But when Isaac's empire began to crumble, Charlotte's true nature was revealed. Her absence was not marked by anger or dramatic confrontation, rather, it was a quiet acknowledgement that her role in Isaac's life had ended. Her departure forced Isaac to confront an uncomfortable truth: Charlotte had been with him for the lifestyle he provided, not out of genuine love or loyalty. Her exit left Isaac alone with the wreckage of his decisions, amplifying his growing sense of regret and self-awareness. As Isaac reflected on his downfall, he began to see how much he had taken Anna for granted. While he had been dazzled by Charlotte's superficial allure, Anna had been the one to stand by him during his most challenging moments. She had been the silent architect of their success, the one who had sacrificed her own ambitions to support his. And yet, he had repaid her loyalty with deceit and betrayal. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow. Isaac began to see Anna not as the simple, unremarkable woman he had once dismissed, but as a force of resilience and intelligence. Her quiet strength had been the cornerstone of their success, and without her, his carefully curated world had crumbled. Isaac's newfound understanding of Anna's worth was accompanied by an overwhelming sense of guilt. He replayed the years they had spent together, recalling moments when she had offered him unwavering support, only to be met with indifference or criticism. He thought of the nights he had stayed out late with Charlotte, knowing Anna was waiting for him at home, and the lies he had told to justify his actions. Isaac began to see his betrayal not just as a moral failing, but as a fundamental betrayal of himself. For the first time, he questioned the man he had become and whether he could ever make amends for the harm he had caused. The path to redemption, if it existed, seemed daunting, but Isaac felt a glimmer of determination to try. Anna's rise to prominence within the company was nothing short of transformative. The once overlooked wife now stood as a beacon of strength and competence. Employees who had previously dismissed her as just Isaac's wife were now inspired by her vision and leadership. Anna's ability to remain composed under pressure, her emphasis on ethical practices, and her genuine concern for the well-being of her team won her widespread respect. She worked tirelessly to rebuild the company's reputation, implementing reforms that prioritized transparency and accountability. Investors, impressed by her poise and intelligence, rallied behind her, eager to support the new direction she was steering the business toward. For Anna, this wasn't just about professional success, it was about reclaiming her identity and proving to herself that she was capable of thriving on her own terms. Meanwhile, Isaac found himself sinking deeper into despair. The life he had meticulously constructed was unraveling, and the distance between him and Anna felt insurmountable. He watched from the sidelines as she flourished, her confidence and strength shining brighter than ever. Isaac's desperation grew with each passing day. He longed to reach out to Anna, to apologize, to explain, but he didn't know where to begin. The weight of his guilt and shame rendered him paralyzed, and he feared that any attempt to reconcile would be met with rejection. Yet, amid his despair, Isaac began to recognize the depth of his feelings for Anna. He realized that he didn't just regret losing her as a partner in business, he regretted losing her as a partner in life. Isaac's attempts to salvage what remained of his career were met with resistance. His reputation had been irreparably damaged, and even his closest allies had begun to distance themselves. With no one left to turn to, Isaac decided to take a step he had avoided for years, confronting his own flaws. He began attending therapy, hoping to understand the root of his insecurities and arrogance. It was a humbling experience, one that forced him to confront painful truths about himself. Isaac's journey toward self-awareness was fraught with difficulty, but he held on to the hope that, one day, he might be able to make amends, not just to Anna, but to the man he had once aspired to be. Under Anna's leadership, the company experienced a transformation that left both employees and investors astounded. Her approach was methodical yet compassionate, focusing on the people who had been overshadowed during Isaac's tenure. She conducted meetings where everyone's voice was heard, creating an environment of inclusivity and collaboration. Anna implemented changes that prioritized ethical business practices and long-term growth over short-term profit. The investors, who had initially been wary of her quiet demeanor, now fully supported her vision. They admired her ability to maintain composure under pressure and her willingness to make bold decisions when necessary. Employees who had once feared Isaac's erratic leadership found solace in Anna's steady guidance. For them, Anna wasn't just a leader, she was a symbol of integrity and resilience. Isaac, on the other hand, was drowning in isolation. Once a figure of authority, he was now an outsider, watching the company he had built flourish without him. The respect and admiration he had once commanded were gone, replaced by whispers of his betrayal and failure. Even his former allies had abandoned him, unwilling to associate with the scandal surrounding his name. Isaac spent his days replaying the choices that had led him to this point, each memory cutting deeper than the last. His once lavish lifestyle now felt hollow, filled only with reminders of his arrogance and the pain he had caused. As he wandered through his empty house, Isaac began to understand the full extent of his loss, not just his career, but the love and trust of the woman who had stood by him through it all. Despite his growing regret, Isaac couldn't bring himself to face Anna. He knew she was thriving without him, and the thought of interrupting her success with his apologies felt selfish. Yet, deep down, he yearned for redemption. He started writing letters to Anna, pouring out his thoughts and regrets. In these letters, he acknowledged his failures and expressed his admiration for the woman she had become. Although he never sent them, the act of writing became a form of therapy, helping him process his emotions. Isaac realized that his journey toward redemption wasn't just about winning Anna back, it was about becoming a better man, someone worthy of her forgiveness, even if he never received it. As Anna continued to rebuild the company, David remained her unwavering ally. His sharp legal mind and calm demeanor were invaluable as Anna navigated the complexities of her new role. David helped her renegotiate contracts, secure new partnerships, and address lingering legal issues from Isaac's tenure. Beyond the professional realm, David provided emotional support, reminding Anna of her worth and encouraging her to embrace her newfound independence. Their late-night strategy sessions often transitioned into heartfelt conversations, where Anna felt safe to express her fears and hopes. David's presence was a steadying force, a reminder that she didn't have to face this journey alone. His belief in her abilities gave Anna the confidence to push forward, even when doubts threatened to creep in. Meanwhile, Isaac watched from the shadows as David's relationship with Anna deepened. Though their bond was purely platonic, Isaac couldn't ignore the pang of jealousy that surged within him. He recognized David as everything he had failed to be: loyal, supportive, and selfless. The thought of David stepping into the role he had so carelessly discarded was both humbling and painful. Isaac's insecurities flared, but he knew he had no right to interfere. Instead, he channeled his energy into his self-improvement journey. He continued attending therapy, where he confronted the root of his arrogance and his fear of vulnerability. Slowly, Isaac began to understand that his failures stemmed not from Anna's inadequacies, as he had once believed, but from his own inability to appreciate the depth of her love and strength. For Anna, David's friendship was a lifeline during a time of immense change. While she appreciated his unwavering support, she remained cautious about the possibility of a deeper relationship. Her trust had been shattered by Isaac's betrayal, and the thought of opening her heart again felt daunting. Yet, as David stood by her side through every challenge, Anna couldn't ignore the warmth that his presence brought. She began to wonder if, one day, she could allow herself to love again, not out of necessity, but as a choice, with someone who truly valued her for who she was. The day of the lawsuit's resolution marked a turning point for both Anna and Isaac. The courtroom was packed with employees, investors, and media representatives, all eager to witness the culmination of a battle that had captivated the corporate world. Anna, dressed in a sleek navy suit, exuded confidence and poise as she presented her case. With David by her side, she outlined the contributions she had made to the company and the financial mismanagement that had occurred under Isaac's leadership. Her arguments were clear and compelling, backed by irrefutable evidence. The judge listened intently, and as the proceedings unfolded, it became evident that Anna had built an unassailable case. Her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with Isaac's subdued presence, highlighting the stark difference between them. Isaac sat silently as the court reviewed the evidence against him. The weight of his actions was laid bare, each revelation a reminder of the consequences of his choices. As Anna's testimony painted a vivid picture of her sacrifices and resilience, Isaac felt a mix of shame and admiration. He wanted to defend himself, to explain that his mistakes had been born of insecurity rather than malice, but he knew it wouldn't matter. The facts were indisputable, and the court's decision was inevitable. When the judge ruled in Anna's favor, granting her majority control of the company, Isaac felt a wave of relief mixed with regret. He had lost everything, but for the first time, he felt the beginnings of acceptance. Perhaps this was the closure he needed to begin anew. For Anna, the victory was bittersweet. While she was grateful for the validation of her efforts, the experience had been emotionally draining. She had fought not just for her rightful place in the company, but for her dignity and independence. As she exited the courtroom, surrounded by reporters and supporters, Anna felt a sense of liberation. The battle was over, and she could finally focus on building the life she wanted. Yet, amid the triumph, a quiet sadness lingered. The man she had once loved was now a shadow of himself, a reminder of how easily trust and love could be destroyed. Anna resolved to move forward with grace, determined to create a future defined by strength and compassion. Anna stood at the helm of her company, fully embracing her new role as CEO. Her vision for the future was bold yet grounded in integrity, a stark contrast to the mismanagement that had plagued the business under Isaac's leadership. She initiated policies that prioritized employee well-being, offering better healthcare benefits and introducing professional development programs. The changes revitalized the workforce, fostering loyalty and a renewed sense of purpose among the staff. Investors, impressed by Anna's strategy and execution, began to see her as a beacon of strength and innovation. Each step Anna took in restructuring the company felt like reclaiming a piece of herself, a declaration that she was more than a wronged wife or a supporting character in Isaac's story. She was a leader in her own right, and she was determined to leave a legacy of empowerment and compassion. Outside the boardroom, Anna's personal life blossomed in unexpected ways. For years, her identity had been intertwined with Isaac's ambitions, her own desires pushed aside to support his goals. Now, with the weight of his betrayal behind her, she felt free to rediscover herself. She enrolled in art classes, rekindling a passion for painting that she had abandoned during her early years of marriage. Weekends were spent hiking or visiting museums with friends, activities that reminded her of the joy in simple pleasures. The freedom to pursue her interests brought a newfound vibrancy to her life, one that radiated in her interactions with others. People were drawn to Anna's warmth and authenticity, qualities that had always been there but were now shining brighter than ever. Meanwhile, Isaac watched from afar as Anna thrived. Her confidence, once subdued, now commanded attention, and her accomplishments were celebrated in the business world. Though he felt a pang of jealousy, it was overshadowed by a deep sense of regret. He realized he had underestimated her at every turn, dismissing her as ordinary when she had always been extraordinary. Isaac's feelings of inadequacy grew as he compared his current state of isolation to Anna's flourishing life. But for the first time, he understood that his path to redemption was not about competing with her, it was about becoming someone who could look himself in the mirror without shame. With this realization, Isaac began to take the first tentative steps toward rebuilding his life. The decision to apologize to Anna weighed heavily on Isaac. It wasn't a matter of pride, it was the fear that his words would fall flat against the magnitude of his betrayal. Nevertheless, he couldn't ignore the need to confront his past, if only to offer Anna the closure she deserved. He reached out to her with a carefully worded letter, requesting a meeting. To his surprise, Anna agreed, though her tone was measured and formal. The meeting took place in a quiet cafe, far removed from the grandeur of their former lives. As Anna arrived, her composed demeanor reminded Isaac of the grace that had once captivated him. Her eyes, however, held a guarded strength, a clear indication that she was not the same woman he had taken for granted. Isaac began by acknowledging his mistakes, his voice trembling as he recounted the ways he had hurt her. He didn't attempt to justify his actions, instead, he spoke of the insecurities that had driven him to seek validation elsewhere. "I was blind to what I had," he admitted, his hands gripping the edge of the table. "You were the best part of my life, and I let my arrogance destroy that." Anna listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When Isaac finished, the weight of his vulnerability hung in the air, a stark contrast to the confident facade he had once worn. He braced himself for her response, uncertain if he deserved forgiveness or even a second glance. Anna's reply was calm but firm. She thanked Isaac for his honesty, acknowledging that it must have taken courage to confront his actions. However, she made it clear that forgiveness didn't mean reconciliation. "I've moved on, Isaac," she said, her voice steady. "And I hope you can find the strength to do the same." Though her words stung, Isaac found a measure of solace in her acknowledgement. He realized that forgiveness wasn't about erasing the past but about freeing them both from its weight. As they parted ways, Isaac felt lighter, as if a chapter had closed. It wasn't the ending he had hoped for, but it was the one he needed. While Anna and Isaac navigated their paths toward closure, Charlotte faced the harsh reality of her choices. Once the center of Isaac's affections, she now found herself ostracized from the circles she had worked so hard to infiltrate. Her role in the scandal had tarnished her reputation, and the social connections she had relied on vanished almost overnight. Invitations to exclusive events dried up, and her glamorous lifestyle became increasingly difficult to maintain. Charlotte's attempts to pivot to new opportunities were met with skepticism. No one wanted to associate with a woman whose name was synonymous with betrayal. The facade she had built crumbled, leaving her to confront the emptiness beneath it. In her solitude, Charlotte began to reflect on her actions. She thought back to the early days of her relationship with Isaac, when she had seen him as a ticket to the life she believed she deserved. At the time, she had convinced herself that Anna was holding him back, that her own presence in his life was an improvement. But as she replayed the events leading to their downfall, Charlotte realized the extent of her delusion. Isaac had used her as a distraction, just as she had used him as a stepping stone. There was no love between them, only mutual exploitation masked by fleeting moments of pleasure. The truth left her hollow, grappling with the consequences of her ambition and the bridges she had burned. Determined to salvage what remained of her dignity, Charlotte made the decision to start over. She left the city, trading her designer wardrobe for a modest lifestyle in a small coastal town. There, she took a job as a receptionist at a boutique hotel, a far cry from her former glamour but a step toward rebuilding her life. For the first time, Charlotte found satisfaction in honest work and the simplicity of anonymity. Though the road ahead was uncertain, she felt a spark of hope that she could redefine herself, not as a woman chasing status, but as someone with the courage to embrace her flaws and learn from them. Anna's newfound independence opened doors she never imagined. For the first time in years, she began exploring interests she had long set aside to support Isaac's ambitions. She attended workshops on art, joined a local reading club, and even started taking piano lessons, something she had always dreamed of but never had the courage to pursue. Each endeavor brought her closer to a version of herself she had forgotten. Friends and acquaintances noticed the light in her eyes, a stark contrast to the shadow of the woman who had stood quietly in Isaac's shadow for so long. Her home, once a place of tension and unresolved emotions, transformed into a sanctuary filled with laughter, music, and creativity. As Anna reconnected with her old friends, she realized how much she had isolated herself during her marriage. She invited them over for dinners, rekindling bonds that had been neglected. David, her steadfast ally, often joined these gatherings, offering his usual wit and wisdom that kept the mood light. He encouraged Anna to share her journey with others, suggesting that her story could inspire women facing similar struggles. With his help, Anna began speaking at community events, sharing her experiences of resilience and growth. Each speech reminded her of the strength she had gained, turning her pain into a beacon of hope for others. Professionally, Anna's transformation mirrored her personal growth. Her leadership style, rooted in empathy and integrity, became a benchmark for others in the corporate world. She built relationships with her employees, learning about their aspirations and struggles, and ensuring the company provided opportunities for growth. Her inclusive approach fostered loyalty and respect, not just among her staff but also from investors and industry leaders. The company's success under her guidance became a testament to her vision, proving that compassion and ambition could coexist. David had been Anna's rock through every challenge, offering unwavering support and encouragement. His presence became a constant in her life, a steady hand guiding her as she rebuilt herself and her business. Over time, their bond deepened into something more profound. Though they had always shared a platonic friendship, Anna began noticing the little things about him, the way he listened intently, his infectious laughter, and the quiet strength he exuded. These realizations stirred emotions she hadn't felt in years, leaving her both excited and apprehensive about exploring a new chapter of her life. David, too, seemed to recognize the shift in their relationship. He started spending more time with Anna outside of their professional interactions, accompanying her to charity events and helping her brainstorm new ideas for the company. One evening, as they sat on her porch watching the sunset, David confessed how much he admired her resilience and growth. He admitted that he had always cared deeply for her but respected her need to heal and find her footing first. His words were sincere, free of pressure or expectations, leaving Anna with a sense of safety and warmth she hadn't experienced in years. Despite her growing feelings, Anna hesitated to take the next step. Her journey of self-discovery had taught her the importance of prioritizing her own needs and not losing herself in a relationship. She valued David's presence but wanted to ensure she entered any romantic connection as a whole and independent person. Together, they agreed to take things slowly, allowing their bond to evolve naturally. Their mutual respect and understanding became the foundation for a connection that promised to be as enduring as it was nurturing. Isaac's fall from grace had been both humbling and transformative. Stripped of his position and influence, he faced the harsh reality of his actions and their consequences. Without the luxury of his previous lifestyle, Isaac was forced to confront his flaws and take responsibility for the pain he had caused. Therapy became a critical part of his journey, helping him unpack years of arrogance, insecurity, and entitlement. Through these sessions, he realized how much he had undervalued Anna's contributions and the depth of her sacrifices for him. Determined to rebuild his life, Isaac sought ways to make amends. He reached out to former employees he had wronged, offering sincere apologies and seeking their forgiveness. His humility surprised many, including Anna, who noticed the genuine effort he was making to change. Isaac also dedicated himself to community service, volunteering at local shelters and mentoring young entrepreneurs. These acts of penance, though small, gave him a sense of purpose and allowed him to reconnect with the values he had lost along the way. Though Anna appreciated Isaac's efforts, she remained cautious. She saw the sincerity in his actions but knew forgiveness did not equate to reconciliation. She encouraged him to continue his path of self-improvement, reminding him that true redemption came from consistency and authenticity. Isaac's journey was far from over, but his willingness to change marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one where he could finally begin to rebuild, not as the man he once was, but as the man he aspired to become. Under Anna's leadership, the company underwent a remarkable transformation. She implemented policies that prioritized transparency, employee well-being, and innovation, creating an environment where creativity flourished. Her inclusive approach inspired loyalty among the employees, many of whom had felt undervalued during Isaac's tenure. Anna's knack for identifying talent brought fresh ideas to the forefront, leading to groundbreaking projects that captured the attention of the industry. The company's profits soared, and its reputation as a visionary enterprise attracted top-tier clients and investors. Media outlets took notice, frequently lauding Anna's leadership style as a revolutionary approach to corporate management. For Anna, however, the accolades were secondary to the satisfaction of seeing her employees thrive in a space built on mutual respect and collaboration. As the company's profile rose, Anna found herself thrust into the public eye. Invitations to speak at conferences and industry events poured in, and she embraced the opportunity to share her story. Her speeches resonated deeply, especially with women and young entrepreneurs, who saw her as a symbol of resilience and empowerment. Anna's journey from being a supportive, overlooked wife to a formidable business leader struck a chord, inspiring countless individuals to pursue their ambitions unapologetically. She often reflected on the irony that the very adversity she faced in her marriage had catalyzed her growth. While the spotlight was daunting at times, Anna remained grounded, always crediting her team and the lessons learned from her struggles for her success. Isaac, watching from the sidelines, couldn't help but feel a mix of regret and awe. The woman he had once underestimated was now a force to be reckoned with, her achievements outshining anything he had accomplished. Though he had worked to rebuild his life, Isaac knew he could never reclaim the influence he once wielded. Yet, rather than envy Anna's success, he began to view it as a testament to her strength and the potential he had failed to see. Quietly, he supported her from afar, recognizing that her rise was as much a victory for the company as it was for her. Anna's personal life blossomed alongside her professional triumphs. She had begun to explore the possibility of a future with David, whose unwavering support had been a constant source of strength. Their friendship had deepened over time, evolving into something more profound. David admired Anna's courage and resilience, while Anna found comfort in his steady presence and genuine care. They often spent evenings discussing everything from business strategies to personal dreams, finding joy in each other's company. Though Anna was cautious about venturing into a new relationship, she couldn't ignore the happiness David brought into her life. Slowly but surely, she allowed herself to imagine a future where love and partnership could coexist with her independence. Isaac, meanwhile, continued to work on his redemption. He dedicated himself to smaller ventures, using his experience to mentor young entrepreneurs. It was his way of giving back and proving to himself that he could still contribute positively to the world. Though the losses he had suffered were painful, Isaac found solace in knowing that his mistakes had led to Anna's remarkable growth. Occasionally, he would reach out to her, offering congratulations or sharing a fond memory. Their conversations, though brief, were amicable, reflecting a mutual understanding that their shared past had shaped their present. Isaac harbored no illusions of rekindling their relationship but found peace in the knowledge that Anna had flourished despite his shortcomings. As Anna and David's relationship grew, so did their plans for the future. They dreamed of building not only a life together but also projects that would leave a lasting impact on the community. Whether through philanthropy or business ventures, their shared vision was one of creating opportunities for others. For Anna, this new chapter was a reminder that life, though unpredictable, could still offer beauty and joy when approached with an open heart. On a crisp autumn evening, Anna stood on the balcony of her home, overlooking the city that had been the backdrop to her trials and triumphs. The company's anniversary celebration had been a resounding success, with employees, clients, and industry leaders gathering to honor its achievements. As she reflected on the journey that had brought her here, Anna felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The woman she had been a few years ago, a supportive wife quietly sidelined, was unrecognizable from the confident, self-assured leader she had become. The pain of betrayal and the struggles she faced had not defined her but had instead propelled her toward a future she never imagined possible. David joined her on the balcony, handing her a glass of wine. "You've come a long way, Anna," he said, his voice filled with admiration. Anna smiled, her heart full. She thought of the people who had been part of her journey, her employees, her loyal friend David, even Isaac, whose actions had inadvertently sparked her transformation. Though she had every reason to resent the past, Anna chose instead to view it as a series of lessons that had shaped her into the person she was today. With David by her side and a bright future ahead, she felt ready to embrace whatever came next. As the evening wound down, Anna addressed the gathering, her voice steady and filled with conviction. "This company's success is not just mine," she said. "It belongs to every person who believed in integrity, hard work, and the power of second chances. Together, we've proven that even in the face of adversity, we can rise, rebuild, and thrive." The applause that followed was deafening, a testament to the respect and admiration Anna had earned. As she looked out at the faces of those who had supported her, Anna felt an unshakable sense of fulfillment. Her journey had come full circle, and she was ready for the next chapter, a life defined not by betrayal but by strength, love, and endless possibilities. That's the end of the story. What did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notification, so that you'll be notified whenever we drop our next videos. Also, share this video to someone who might be interested. Thank you so much for watching.